What's up everyone, Clark Glassford, founder of My Practice Interview, where I help you land your dream job, and today we're talking about video interviews. You know, we've been doing these for the past 2 years during this crazy pandemic time, and guess what? They are here to stay. So Zoom, Teams, and a number of other apps that are out there where employers are using to do video interviews. I have got 3 tips that will help you navigate the video interview, and these are tips that I commonly see people making mistakes in, and I'm going to show you how to correct them in advance of your interview, plus one secret hack that you can use to really rock your video interview. So stick around, I've got that, but before we get there, you're here for a reason. You're here for some interview coaching, some career advice, maybe you want to know how to write a resume. You've come to the right place. Every single week, I post new videos on the interview process and how to navigate all the different steps of that process. Check out my YouTube channel, subscribe, like, share. There's lots of information there free for you to check out. Also in the links below, copy of My Practice Interview ebook. It's a free ebook ready for your download. Get that, it's free, you have no excuse not to get it. And also included in the links below is a copy of my Interview Accelerator workshop. It's a digital workshop presented by me, where you can go through each step of the interview process, the application process, from your resume to applying to jobs, to knowing what the different interview questions are, and all the different pitfalls and landmines and things that applicants find themselves in, how to avoid all of that so you hear the magic words, you're hired. So check that out. But guess what? We got to get going. So ready? Here we go. So here we are, we're talking about video interviews, and I've got 3 key tips that I want you to think about when you're getting ready for that interview, and the video interview specifically. So you get sent an email saying, congratulations, we'd like to meet with you. We're going to do this by Zoom, Teams, whatever the technology is they're using. They're sending you a link and they're saying you're gonna meet here at this specific time for this interview. The biggest thing I see people do or not do before that video interview is actually test the app. Now, a lot of you out there have different apps that you've used, you're familiar with this, but some of you haven't. Some of you have not had the opportunity to go through an interview by video or by your computer. You want to make sure that all of your equipment works. I want you to test, and test. So if they're saying we're going to do this by Zoom, make sure you download the Zoom app. Make sure you test yourself with setting up a meeting with a friend or a family member and just see how the equipment works. Can you hear the audio? Does the video come on? Are you aware of all the different functions that work within that app? It's really important to test, because one of the biggest things I see applicants showing up, they haven't tested, and guess what? They've got a tech problem. They can't hear their sound, or the video's not coming on, or their background is all off, and it just throws you off for your interview. So make sure you spend that time in advance testing, make sure it works so that you're comfortable with it going into the interview. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, make sure you're going into that interview thinking, this is a professional interview. I've got to create the right environmental setting here. So you come in professionally, making sure that your environment is professional. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you've got a quiet place. Okay, you don't want to hear dogs barking or kids laughing or screaming in the background. If you're doing it in your own home, find that nice quiet environment. Make sure that whatever your camera's on, which is on you, that the background also looks professional too. I've got different things set up in my house where the background just wouldn't quite blend itself or lend itself to a professional type interview. So if you have a background that, you have a nice blank wall, that works, or you have some nice paintings, that works too. But if you don't have that background, there are cool features within those apps like Zoom and Teams where you can put on a background filter. So that's where, if you don't have quite a background that really works well for your video interview, use one of those filters. It'll put a background behind you and make you look professional in that interview setting. So make sure you use that. Things happen. So what do I mean by that is, yes, sometimes there could be an interruption if you're doing it from your house. You might hear a dog bark, a kid scream. So, something happens. You just got to roll the punches. Don't let that get to you. The interviewer on the other side of the screen is fully aware of that and is okay with those things going on. So just roll with it. Don't lose focus, and don't let that throw you off. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, first impressions are absolutely key. So I've got a whole video on first impressions. You're gonna see it here, and there's a link below for that video. Check that out on how to make a positive first impression. Now, just because you're on a video doesn't mean you shouldn't be making a positive first impression. So you're coming to that interview as if you're meeting them in person. So make sure you're dressed for the part. If you're with an organization that's quite formal, you're gonna want the suit and tie, the blouse, whatever that environment looks like, the culture looks like, you wanna make sure you're dressed appropriately. And if you're not quite sure, business casual at the least is what you want to wear to that interview. Don't show up in your t-shirt and jogging pants and think, well, it doesn't really matter, they're just seeing from this part up. Make sure you dress the part, because it also, here's the thing, gets you in the mindset, okay? You want to be in the mindset to impress and rock that interview. Now, the other thing I see when it comes to first impressions is not only the background and things, which we talked about on the previous tip, but it's also the lighting. The lighting is really key, that you have proper lighting for that interview. So, you know, it's not coming across as dark or kind of dim and dingy in the room. You want nice bright light on you. So if you don't have proper lighting and you've tested, that was tip number 1, you've tested and you're realizing like, the lighting's not really great here. A couple things you can do. You can bring some lights in, a little lamp or something like that you can put by your computer that will shine some light on you. That's the cheap hack, that's the free hack. Or you can go and buy yourself something called a light ring. A light ring is something that you can mount on top of your computer or laptop, and it shines light directly on you. That is something that looks like this. This is a light ring. You can get them on Amazon. 25 bucks, small, cheap investment to get, but gives you great lighting for your interview. It's a plug and play thing. It is great. Last tip on making first impressions here, make sure you're making eye contact with the camera. You don't want to be looking here or down here. They can see you. You want to be looking at the screen so they think you're looking directly at them. Really important tip here. Keep that eye contact going. Present yourself in that professional way, and you will rock the interview. So I told you I had a hack. What's the hack? Hack is this. When you're in a virtual interview, you're having a conversation like we are right now. But what they can't see is, what the interviewer can't see is what's going on around you. So what I recommend for some people, if you need notes or little reminders of things you want to say throughout that interview, or examples that you want to use throughout that interview, and again, I've got a playlist on tips on how to prepare for the interview here and here. Make sure you check that out. That gives you everything you need to know about preparing for the interview. But if you need little reminders for yourself, use sticky notes. Put down keywords, sticky note just like this, take it, keywords on there, write it down, put it around your screen, and use those as cues throughout your interview. The interviewer can't see the mess of sticky notes around you, but it allows you to help jog your memory if you're trying to think of different examples to use or different points that you want to make throughout your interview. Now, here's the kind of insider part of that hack. Why sticky notes and why not just a big sheet of paper? Well, a big sheet of paper, what some people will do if they write out their responses, they end up reading them. And that to the interview comes across as not authentic and scripted. And that is not what the impression you want to leave in the interview. So sticky notes are quick little reminders. You can't write much down on these things, quick words that jog your memory to deliver the message you want to deliver. It's a great hack. Use it. It works wonders for your interview. So like that, we're out of time. That's the end of this video and this week. It's a great way to start getting prepared for video interviews. If you've had them before, make sure you follow these tips. If you've never done a video interview before, well then these tips will be brand new for you and fantastic for you to make sure you're ready for that interview. So with all that said, keep rocking your interview and we'll see you next time.